Driver in the UK arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
I'm Vicky Barker in London. Liverpool police continue to question the suspected driver of the van that plowed into pedestrians attending their soccer team's Premier League victory parade Monday evening. They have until tomorrow to file charges or release him. They now say 79 people were injured, 7 remain hospitalized.
A day after President Trump called the daughter of TV reality stars Todd and Julie Chrisley to let her know he'd pardoned her mother and father.
Congratulate your parents. And I hear they're terrific people. This should not have happened.
They could walk out of prison. They were convicted of evading taxes and fraud. Sean Combs' sex trafficking trial resuming a day after his former assistant, Capricorn Clark, testified she was kidnapped. CBS's Katrina Kaufman.
Over the course of 5 days, she was brought to a dilapidated building and subjected to lie detector tests. The man there, she said, told her that if things didn't get figured out, she would end up in the East River.
The Dow is up 10 points in early trading. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome in. It's a Wednesday on the Roundtable here on WGNS. Chip Walters with you from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates, and the Blue Raider Network, and on a hump day on a short week. My biggest challenge this morning was to remember that it was Wednesday and not Tuesday after a holiday weekend. Very special guest today, and I have to give my buddy Chris Davis at Channel 5 a lot of credit for helping connect me. But Bree Smith, longtime broadcast meteorologist, nearly 10 years in the Nashville market, Emmy Award-winning broadcast meteorologist, accredited by the National Association of American Meteorologists and the American Meteorological Society. I said meteorological correctly, I think. And but her biggest award has been Best Mom Ever by Cole and Brooks, her sons.
Yeah.
And she joins me today from her home north of the city. And Bree, good morning, sunshine.
Good morning. I wish I had more sunshine for everybody. It's been a pretty gloomy May.
Well, we are going to be talking about the weather. We're also going to be talking about a very serious issue that you've had a big part in, and a big part in trying to remedy because you were a victim of it. And we will talk about that in just a little bit. But kind of a setup here, in 10 years, in Nashville and in this area, you became the sweetheart of the mid-state with your demeanor, the way you went about your business, and just kind of talk about your background and how you ended up first in Nashville about 10 years ago.
Well, thank you for that. I have some friends that call me the sweetheart, and I was like, I am? It's not how I think of myself, but there certainly could be other nicknames, so I'll take it.
Okay.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So we love Nashville. We've lived here 10 years now, and prior to we were in St. Louis. That's where my husband grew up. prior to that, we've kind of been all over. My husband and I were in New Orleans. We were in Miami. We met in New York City. Prior to that, I was in Texas for a while, and I grew up in California. So I feel like I've sort of spiraled in on the Southeast. I just keep kind of diving deeper and deeper into the belly button that is Tennessee, and this is home for us. We love it here.
So you're one of those Californians who came rolling in here and never left. But it took
under the radar though. Before anyone was like, "Wait a minute, check if they're Californians." It's like, no, I am. But that's part of why I love the weather so much, is because California doesn't really get a whole lot of weather. Like growing up, if there was a thunderstorm, you talked about it at school the next day. Like, did you hear it? Did you see it? It's like the one lightning strike in town.
Did it wake you up and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, totally different. And then going to Texas initially, or going to college initially in Texas, they get big storms there. And that's really what started to ignite a fascination for weather. And full disclosure, when I moved to Nashville, I did not fully consider that this is like weather mecca. Like all the weather, all the time. Mostly at night. So it really keeps you on your toes here.
So when you interviewed before you moved here, did somebody give you the old phrase, well, if you don't like the weather here, just wait 15 minutes and you'll get something you like. But so it was in Texas that sparked the weather bug, so to speak. Were you not a little weather nerd kid who had a map on the refrigerator and did forecasts, that kind of thing?
Not at all. So I grew up in a little beach town in California, and so fog. You know, I grew up with fog, and I still love fog. I think fog is really cool. Like, I've always enjoyed nature. My middle name is Sunshine, and I was raised by a hippie. But then went to Texas. My first degree is actually theater, and in Texas is when I started to really get a taste of what these big southern storms are, and it was like just so cool. I mean, I put on, creepy music when storms would roll through. I was the one that ran through the dorm and knocked on the doors and evacuated everyone during tornado watches. Like, get to the basement. Moved to New York, which is where I met my husband, and it was when I was in New York City that I really felt God tell me, go back to school and become a meteorologist. Use your gift of storytelling, use your love of people, and go become a meteorologist. And I fought that for like a year. It was like, absolutely not. I must be hearing strange things. This can't be happening. I had met my husband at the time. I didn't want to move away. But it's that kind of nudge, that calling on the heart just got louder and louder and louder. And eventually I told my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, I was like, you want to hear something crazy? I think I need to go back to school and become a meteorologist. And he's like, you should do that. You should go to Florida State. You should move. I was like, really? Okay. So I sold everything I owned, and I moved to Florida at the age of 24 and enrolled in school and busted my butt for 3 years, taken 18, 19, 20 hours a semester, got a whole new degree, and kind of fell backwards into broadcasting. They had a 1-credit class that was a student-produced weather show, and I took it, and I was like, I love this. Like, I love this. I just want to help people, and I want to tell the story, and I want to talk about weather, and it just all kind of came together in that moment.
So before the 1-hour broadcast class, what were your plans on how you were going to use your meteorology degree?
Initially, I thought I wanted to be the warning coordination meteorologist at the National Weather Service.
Okay.
Meteorologists love them, some acronyms, so that's the WCM. But the WCM is responsible for coordinating with the community. Like, hey, if the NFL draft is downtown, you need a meteorologist that's really coordinating with groups and kind of translating, hey, the weather's going to impact this event in a very specific way. Or the weather's going to be impactful to the community because of this community event. Like, I knew I wanted to be connected to people, and I wanted to be the bridge between what was going to happen and why it was important. And just to help people. I've got a helper's heart. But then that broadcast class just bit me, and I was like, oh, this is great.
Well, it's not a huge jump from the theater side of you to the broadcast side of you, because obviously you have an extrovert personality and don't mind being in front of people, whether it's a live audience or whether it's one through a camera somewhere?
I joke, but this is a truthful thing. I'm grateful that God has put in me a lack of fear of being embarrassed. Like, I don't. It's not that I don't get nervous when I have to do things on camera or when there was high impact weather, if I have to talk in front of a group of people. It's just that being embarrassed is not a motivating factor. I think I embarrass myself plenty every day. So whether it's with my kids or whatever else is happening in my life, it's like, well, all right, let's just get her done. Like, at some point I'll hit the right note.
So you don't need any help to be embarrassed. You can handle that on your own.
No, and I don't let it be a limiting factor. Like with my kids sometimes be like, oh my gosh, what if you say the wrong thing? I was like, I've already done that. Like, what if you trip over your words? I've already done that. It was like if you do your best and you focus on what your goal is. That's what I would tell people anytime they would visit the station. Like, if you want to picture the person you love most in the whole wide world, and you just want to talk to them. And if you do that, it's not about the perfect words or the perfect phrase it's not about even looking perfect. It's just about being human, because that's what folks want. They just want to talk to people.
Now, the first time you ever went on on television to do the weather, what was going through your mind? And obviously, by your reaction, there must be a story to this.
Yeah, because it was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. Like top of the chart. So my first job on air was in Baton Rouge, and Baton Rouge was an interesting market because we were kind of a quasi-taped market, meaning we were live in Baton Rouge, but we had partner stations in like East Texas that we would tape the weather for maybe an hour ahead of time and send that file down. Mm-hmm. So my very first weather was actually a taped weather. And so I didn't see it go out live, but I taped it. And then an hour later, I saw it play. And when you work in weather, or in the news, you wear these inner ear devices. We call them IFBs. They kind of look like the FBI, like the little coily cord that comes down.
Yep.
Well, at the time, I didn't have one that was fitted very well because I just starting. It was really loose.
Yeah, you didn't have one that had been molded to your ear yet. The good ones.
Yeah, no, it was like a worn out tater tot, like just this weird little thing. And when I taped the weather, it had fallen out of my ear. And I had walked across the camera talking to the chief at the time, saying, I'm going to tape that dang thing to my ear. And assuming that had gotten edited out, but an hour later, as I watched myself do the weather for the first time, you see me like wrap up and wind down the 7 day. And then you see me stomp across the screen going, I'm going to tape this dang thing to my ear. It was like, and it was on a delay. It's like I ran out of the studio. I ran across the newsroom, and you just saw me going, tape ding ding, tape ding ding, tape ding ding, tape ding ding, just over and over again. And I was mortified. My news director called, and he was so nice to me. All he said was, we don't say dang on TV, Bree. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh! Compared to what's on television now, you don't say dang. You don't say dang.
So lessons learned there. Don't walk across the camera. Don't assume that camera is not on.
That's
also,
right.
Microphones, you always assume they're hot. Always assume they're hot. And if you don't want Jesus to hear it, don't say it.
That's right. And we always had, think of it as a rattlesnake because it can bite you.
Yes,
but,
all the time.
Now, I've always been curious about this. As far as the mechanics of doing the weather on television, what was the hardest part to get used to? Was it pointing at a green screen where there was actually nothing there and you were having to watch yourself across on a monitor, or dealing with the handheld little computer that you have that changes the graphics and stuff like that? Or was it the preparation to get all that ready for the 2.5 minutes that you're going to be on the screen?
Once the clicker kind of comes, once you've got it, you've got it. And the green screen, same thing. You kind of get used to it. It becomes muscle memory. I think the hardest thing, which you can probably relate to, is that inevitably something fails. And it's more about the tap dancing of, oh, this computer is not working, blue screen of death over here. Well, then I like a duck, you're paddling really fast underwater, but it's got a lot really smooth up top. And it's like, it was the times that I would push the clicker button and the clicker button wasn't working. And it's like, all right, then I'm going to walk over and I'm going to hit the space bar instead. Or that monitor wasn't on, or this computer crashed and a piece of information here. Because when you're on like this, you can't say, hey, everyone at home, if you could just hold on a second, I'm going to go reboot this computer in the back. And
exactly.
I'm gonna bang this clicker until can I get some AA batteries? Like, you just can't do that. You have to make it work with what you've got, for a lot of reasons. Because folks at home need to see kind of a steady, measured, and the reality is that if you're doing your job really well, you should be able to do it without the pictures working. If at the end of the day, your job is to tell people what to expect, what's going on. That should complement the knowledge, right? That should complement the expertise. So it's like there was always that measured amount of mental energy of how much time am I going to spend trying to fix this blip, or in the 90 seconds I have remaining, am I just going to lock it down and talk to people?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of mental gymnastics that happen while the mouth is still going. And then you just try better the next time.
It's like the duck. You look calm on the surface and you're paddling like heck underneath. All right. Bree Smith is with us today, and she is telling her story today. We're going to dive into some things when we come back, but we need to step away for our first break of the hour right here on the Roundtable on WGNS.
If you have something to buy, sell, or trade, call me. Weekday mornings at 7:50 for Swap and Shop.
WGNS broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios. MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits, assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE serving to make
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion.
Does your home need freshening up? Let our family at Farrah Construction help you. We do painting, new flooring, anything that you need. If you can dream it, Farrah Construction can turn it into reality. Farrah Construction offers high-quality craftsmanship, quick response, and attention to detail. For home restoration at a price you can
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. As a member of MTE, you have access to educational resources to help you tailor energy use to your lifestyle. Interested in electric vehicles? MTE offers incentives to learn about EVs and connect.
Well, welcome back, and we're going to blame Bree here because she talked about computers failing on the weather set, and guess what just happened when we went to the break? The computers that run the commercials and all that, they decided to go on a little vacation, and Brian is going to reboot all that. So that will give us another minute or two. So we kind of talked about Bree's on-air career, and we will talk about weather again before the hour is over and what she's doing now in weather, but using a weather metaphor. While her name is Sunshine, there were some clouds that came to your life last year from an online basis, and in words like that I'd never really heard of, like deep fake, sexploitation or sextortion, things like that. And I'm going to really do my best to not have a trigger effect on anything, but kind of talk about the situation that you have been very active in a very positive way this spring. But it was not a fun thing that you had to go through last fall. Kind of give us an idea of how this came about and what happened.
Yeah, it's been a wild 8 months, 10 months. And I appreciate you saying the verbiage, because if anything, that's part of what was really hard for me when this first started, is that I did not know what to call what was happening, because it was so out of the blue and so just like, what in the world? Never in my wildest dreams did I think something like this would happen. And I think that's a part of, maybe not the problem, but an opportunity, is that, a baseline. My father-in-law was visiting a couple weeks ago, and he flat out asked me, he said, Bree, what is a deep fake? And if we don't know what to call these things, then we can't address them and we can't fight them. So a deep fake is when somebody takes artificial intelligence or a computer program and they edit your face or something else about your body to make it look like you are doing or saying something that you're not doing or you're not saying. And what happened to me was last October, I got an email from someone that I had never heard of or met, saying, Bree, I think I've been contacted by an imposter, and I'm not sure the best way to tell you. And I wrote him back and I said, I'm so sorry. I don't know you and I have not reached out to you. So that was definitely a fake, and I hope that you report block it. I'm so sorry. And they wrote me back again and said, well, I think you should know that, it might be your husband, because they had pictures only a husband would have. And I said, no, there are no pictures that, quote, only a husband would have. And my husband would never do that, even if there were. And then he wrote me a third time and he said, well, I just wanted you to see the conversation that happened. And he included screen grabs of a chat that he had with someone pretending to be me in an app called Signal. I had not heard of Signal yet at that point either in my life. And in that app, fake Bree was engaging in kind of a lewd conversation, talking about private, intimate acts that they would do together, asked that person to send them $200 to book a stay at the Conrad Hotel downtown, and included 2 pictures that had my face on someone else's semi-nude body and a video of me that had clearly been taken off of social media that I had shot at work. I was totally clothed in the video, but it had distorted my voice and my face to make it look like I was saying things that I never said.
Well, I think I saw a clip of that on the CBS this morning story that they did about a month ago or so, and that little video was like 100 that I had seen of you before, just on the news set, talking into your phone. But, obviously I couldn't hear what was going on, but that was one that they had as an example. But, it had to be shocking.
Yes, unbelievably shocking. I was actually at home. I had driven home on my dinner break and, just keeping an eye on my phone, keeping an eye on emails. It was right before I went upstairs to tuck my kids in that I opened up my phone and I saw these attachments and was like, and I couldn't, my husband looked at me and I was like, something is wrong. Something bad has happened. Something bad has happened. He's like, what do you mean? And I couldn't, I didn't know to say deep fake. I was like, I can't tell you because our kids can hear me. I don't know what to say. So I just shut my phone down really fast, got back to work, and ended up sending it off to leadership and saying, what do we do? I don't know what to do. And that's when I learned that at the time, it was not illegal to do that taking somebody's face, their name, their image, and their likeness, and distorting it with technology to make it look indecent was not illegal. And so that was really shocking. For me, it was really devastating, but also to realize, what do you mean? This could happen to anybody? This could happen to my kids. This could happen to my friends. This could happen to anyone in this community, and we're just going to say, can't do anything about it. It's not illegal. I know, because it's such a duh. It's like, wait, what? But it's just, it's a sign, I think, of the fact that the technology has grown faster than our laws and our restrictions. And the fact that when technology like this grows, I think I hope the people that are behind it are trying to develop it for positive, good. It's supposed to help humanity, but then you see it being used in a really dark, evil way. And it's like, oh, no, this can be really dangerous. So legislation was already moving through, legislation had been introduced addressing AI, and specifically it being used non-consensually to create intimate pictures. And once I sort of got connected to it, I offered to share my story to help. Didn't know if it would. I said, I'll share anything you want me to share. This is such an important story, and it's such an important topic. And there are people that do not have resources, and there are people that don't have help. I didn't have help.
When it first happened, and you said you immediately reached out to leadership, was there support there, or was there anything they felt like they could do to help avert this?
No, it was communicated that it wasn't illegal.
Okay.
That it wasn't illegal, and if it's not illegal, then there's no legal action that can be taken. And so there really wasn't much that was done or could be done. I kept pursuing it through the spring months and was connected to this legislation, the Preventing Deepfakes Act, and was able to lend my voice in support of it. And once it did start to go through the legislature, I mean, it went like a brush fire. It was bipartisan supported. Everybody agreed with it. I was met with nothing but kindness and dignity and compassion. And the more I really had to educate myself on what this is, what deepfakes are, the more I've learned about it. It's a huge issue. And I think the number one thing that I've learned in this process is that what happened to me is not a fluke, and it's not just some one-time freak thing. It really can happen to anyone, and it is happening to other people, and they don't have the platform or the resources to either advocate for themselves or to speak up or to get help. Teenage boys are actually the number one target for scams like these.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned. I think initially when this happened to me, I was like, is there some, one jerk at home somewhere with computer software who just decided to be mean? And now I've realized there are networks, there are international organizations that participate in these things. Like, it's a really complicated system to address. Just in February, there was a young boy in near Bowling Green who was targeted directly. I have not been targeted directly. It's just people that know me that have been targeted. Someone used AI to make intimate pictures of this boy. He's 16 years old. He did not participate in any of it. They told him, give us $3,000 or we're going to release these pictures to your small town. He borrowed $50 from his brother, sent these extortionists. I mean, that's where the term sextortion comes from. They say, give us money or we will expose you. We will release these doctored pictures and embarrass you and damage your reputation. He sent them the $50 and they said, no, it's $3,000. And that boy took his own life within an hour because he did not think he had help. He did not think that he had resources. He did not believe that he could shut it down. And that inspired legislation that went through like wildfire in Kentucky, Andy Bashir behind it, and now Kentucky has a law in place. And Tennessee, the governor is officially signing it next week, this Preventing Deepfakes Act, which my biggest hope is that it would be a resource, unfortunately, for more people, because I think this is going to happen to more people. And I know what I needed at the time was resources, verbiage, support, education, something to feel a little less alone in the battle. And that's what I hope to create. I hope is created as we go forward. I don't know how to do it. I keep trying to figure out how to do these things. I'm just sort of doing them one at a time. But, the craziest part is that when this all happened, I went to Google, I went to an internet engine and said, what do you do when someone makes pictures of you without your permission using AI and tries to steal money from other people. Like, what do I do? I mean, I went to the AI devices to try to figure out a plan. And it's, we're definitely better than where we were 8 months ago, but even for me, it hasn't stopped. There are imposter accounts still going today. I was actually talking to one yesterday.
You were talking to that account?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It says
how many do you think there have been imposters accounts of you that have been out there trying to extort people?
Hundreds.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
After I testified in the legislature, there were some companies that kind of came forward and individuals that work in this space, like are digital investigators, or work in internet security like this. And one of them, a week or so ago, said a security company had done a scan and they had found roughly 600 channels.
My word. That I mean, that's scary in itself. And 5 years ago, somebody would, Photoshop your head onto a gorilla or something, and it was it was
something
funny.
Silly.
It was funny, but now this is a whole different level of stuff with the the AI generated videos. I mean, right now the big trend is all the little babies, the movie scene babies or whatever that they have done with AI. But this, that is where it is a use for good. But this is obviously a use not for good. I mean, you've walked in front of a television camera thousands of times to give the weather. What was it like the day that you got up behind a podium at the state capitol to talk about this and to tell your story, even though admittedly you don't have a problem being in front of people, but this is bearing your soul out there?
Yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah,
I was trembling. I was scared for a lot of reasons. As much as I feel very comfortable talking, like cameras don't scare me. I was also talking about the weather. Like, I don't like being the topic of conversation. I like talking about the weather. And so that is a little bit more uncomfortable for me. The other really hard part was feeling like I was so shocked by what had happened. And I was so shocked by how it continued to evolve, because it wasn't just that singular incident that happened in October. It was getting worse at the time. That I was afraid that when I went to the legislature, they wouldn't understand, and they might be dismissive. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what a deepfake is. I can't help you, Bree. And I was afraid that I would fall on deaf ears. And it was so deeply personal. And I wanted to feel like I was making a difference somewhere, because it was very, very painful to not be able to do anything to stop it for myself. But it was even more painful to know that the people that I trust and I respect in this community were the ones being targeted. Initially that first email was someone that had been kind of drawn into something really lewd and indecent, and that was embarrassing and shameful for me. And even though I know I didn't do anything wrong, the shame and the sadness and the embarrassment, the emotions are real, and that's really difficult to process.
And the anxiety level just had to be off the charts.
Through the roof. That every time I opened up my phone, it's like, oh my gosh, what could have happened now? I was afraid in part that by sharing my story that might invite more content, that there might be some other evildoer out there that was like, oh well, I'll show you something that I was putting myself at risk potentially by speaking up. But I had also seen that these nefarious accounts, these bad guys, because I still don't know who or what is behind it, and there might be multiples. Like I don't know. They were trying to steal money from people. they, what I've seen is that they would make contact with people by replying to comments on my Facebook page. But what was really terrifying was in February, I'm on the board for Rock Castle here in Sumner County. It's a historic property. And I was talking to the director, who's a friend, and he said, Bree, why did you message me asking you to privately chat on some other app? And I was like, I didn't do that, Sam. That wasn't me. So these fake accounts that were either pretending to be me or pretending to be fan managers or pretending to be an average person, they had gone in and they were sending direct messages to followers saying, you should go chat with Bree privately over here. If you really want to have a great conversation, download this app and go talk to her privately over here. Or, because I've seen these, someone created a fake account. They followed my husband, blocked me, and then sent my husband a message saying, nobody knows, but my husband and I are separated. I'm in trouble. I need your help. Can you please message me over here? So they were preying on people, goodwilling, either preying on the fact that they trusted me or knew me in some capacity. Mm-hmm. They're preying on folks, just their good-naturedness and wanting to help. If they think I'm legitimately saying I'm in trouble, I am in distress, and I need help, that the folks of Middle Tennessee are like, well, I'll help her. And so then they're more willing to download these apps. I have engaged in some conversations with these imposters, and it is like, it's mind-blowing, the stuff that they will say. I saw one conversation with an imposter that was pretending to choose a top fan. Like, hey, if you're her top fan, she will choose you, and for $300, she will come to your house. And they said, oh, great, you've been chosen as that top fan, but for Bree's safety, we need you to send us a copy of your passport. We need to do a background check so that we know Bree is not going to an unsafe environment. And so they're trying to steal people's personal identity. They're trying to extort money from them. They're trying to get them to download these private chatting apps that are unsafe. Like, it is such a dangerous scam scheme that, you know, for me personally has been a hell to go through, because it's my name and my dignity and my reputation, but also how dangerous it is when you target somebody who has an established relationship with the community and who has provided good life-saving information for almost a decade. You know, targeting a trusted, truthful resource is a very, very scary way to compromise the safety of a community in a lot of different ways. And so that's part of the reason where, despite the fact that this has been scary and painful and super hard, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop fighting it, because it's unsafe for every single person it touches.
Wow, Bree Smith is definitely a voice to help folks that may be a victim of this as well. We're going to take a breath, step aside, and talk about where we go from here. And we're also going to talk about the weather right after this. You're listening to the Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS.
First Shot, growing in Christ with life and athletic skills.
So we teach God's Word at everything we do to implant it in them so that they understand that the only way to get through the world is with God on their side.
First Shot founder and executive director Andy Herzer.
Our focus is on our inner city here at Patterson Park.
From academics to athletics, First Shot's focus is toward building a stronger, more courageous spirit to face opportunities and obstacles that our youth confront every day. To find out more about First Shot, go to firstshottn.org.
Not only do we sell jewelry, but we also repair it as well as appraise it. Anything purchased from Bell Jewelers, you receive a complimentary appraisal to give to your insurance company. But even if you have a piece of jewelry that didn't necessarily come from us, that's okay. We have 4 GIA certified appraisers on staff. We appraise it on site, so you know exactly what you have. So come see us at Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
Are you looking to buy or sell real estate? I'm Betsy Maples with Maples Realty and Auction, and we've been selling property in Middle Tennessee since 1969. whether it be traditional listings, sales, or auctions. Let us visit your property and help you decide what method is best for your situation. Call Maples Realty and Auction today, because it's our people that's the difference.
Maples Realty and Auction.
Sold by Maples Realty and Auction.
And I would highly recommend Adams Place. It's a place to enjoy life. It's comfortable. The settings are home-like and not sterile. Adams Place is a place they're looking out for you. You feel at home, and I'm very fortunate there's a lot of people here I already knew. To get back to the food, I want to say one thing. The chef does a fabulous job here. I'm Larry Castelli. You know, I would highly recommend Adams Place.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Very proud that the Roundtable has been nominated by the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters as a finalist for Best Local Talk Show, and it's for reasons like this when we have great guests. But also WGNS has 5 other nominations for other things, including Brian Barrett's Rutherford weather, which we'll be talking about here shortly. But Bree, you have taken this thing by the horns. I mean, you had to go from being hit right between the eyes with a sledgehammer. And by the way, Bree Smith, broadcast meteorologist, joining us today. You've gone from being hit right between the eyes by a sledgehammer to grabbing this thing by the throat and taking control of it yourself. That's a big step to make in this process you've had to go through.
Well, that's what I have tried, and I appreciate you saying that. There are times that I definitely felt like I was more battered than the challenge, but
no question.
We call it the cockroach effect in our family. I'm like, you can stomp on me and you can set me on fire. I will still find a way to crawl up your leg, because wrong is wrong, and I'm not going to take it lying down.
Yep. Who championed your effort within the legislature and helped guide this through on a state level? Because there's also a federal law that or a federal bill that is coming along as well. But who in this? Let's give credit where credit is due in the State House, because Lord knows we can find enough things to shoot at them anyway. But who did the heavy lifting in the legislature for you?
So, and truly, this was bipartisan. I mean, every single legislator that I talked to, every single one of them, no matter how much they might disagree on some stuff, they were kind. They were just all unified in what we needed to do. But the bill started with Representative Jason Powell and Senator Yarborough. And then Senator Hale came on board. And then Leader William Lamberth came on board. And that's when it started to gain some bipartisan traction. And then a multitude of names. I think I don't have this as a record, and I'm a meteorologist who looks at records, but I think it's one of the most bipartisan supported bills that has ever made it through. I mean, passed unanimously all 3 times through the House, through the Senate. My kids got to be there when it was passed for the final time. Governor Lee is having an official signing next week that I will be there for, that I'm really excited about. And so I just... It absolutely went from felt like I was punched in the teeth to feeling like there was other people with authority that were standing with me and behind me and saying, absolutely not. You're right. We got to do something about this. And that was a much needed sort of wind in my sail as I've tried to navigate this very, very, very dark storm.
What will this law do? How will it put teeth into some legislation or into some law enforcement being able to prosecute?
So the state law provides civil and criminal penalties for the creation and distribution of intimate content without consent. So you can't take someone's picture, you can't take a video of somebody, you cannot digitally alter it to make it look indecent or intimate, and then distribute it on a social platform without being held liable for both criminal charges and civil penalties, meaning you can go to jail. There is a financial fine. You can be sued for that. And I think it's a really important first step because, kind of the key, you have to define right from wrong. And that's what this bill does. 2, you have to create penalties that are strong enough that get a criminal's attention to go, I don't want to risk that. I don't want to risk that. And I think it's an important first step because before really doing this, since it wasn't illegal, there is no ability to really track these down. Where did it come from? Where was the original file? What's the original computer that it was created on? And that's going to be, I think, a more complicated process once these laws go into effect of not just you can't distribute it, or even the Take It Down Act, which is the national act going through the federal act. It's my goal, my dream is not just that we're in a place where these things have to be taken down, but that they never go up. They're not allowed to be created because the reputation damage, the psychological damage, when these things are created, they're long lasting. And even if they do get taken down, it's a violation and it makes you feel very, very unsafe. And I think that my goal, my dream is that we would not just be in a reactive place when it comes to guardrails around this technology, but that we're intentional, right? We're leading the charge. You work for me. Right, exactly. This technology is supposed to work for us, not the other way around.
And I'm sure you've learned way more about this kind of stuff than you ever imagined. But is there an ability for to forensically find out where this stuff is coming from and to be able to track down these people who do this and prosecute them?
I think that's the future.
Okay.
There are some forms of it. There are identity protection attorneys and identity protection firms, literally IP, which when I first heard about it, I was like, isn't that a web address? Oh, IP is identity protection. That, it's kind of, it's not crazy because it's Nashville, but Tennessee passed the Elvis Act last year to protect musicians, right? Name, image, and likeness. So you can't doctor Johnny Cash's voice and make him sing Barbie Girl and pass it off as the real thing, right? But now we get into we're kind of, I think what they're having to do legally is the same way that they can copyright or trademark a song or a musical artist or a melody. They're having to figure out what does that look like, the digital fingerprint of a person.
Mm-hmm.
And not just protecting like you and me right now talking on this camera, but how do we then create the technology that goes out and scans the internet to find what's there? Because all I've ever seen is what has been brought to me or I tripped over myself. And so there are a couple identity protection firms that I've spoken to over the last 6 weeks, some that are developing new technology, some that already have technology. The problem is that most of that stuff is so expensive that only super duper celebrities can afford it, which isn't realistic. How do we make that kind of protection more accessible to a mom in Hendersonville, and her 2 kids that are growing up in a digital time where AI is supposed to be a helpful, good tool that can be used really well. But how do we protect our identities? I don't know. Are we going to have 100% human, content for this interview? There was no AI in the use of this. This is really it.
I hear disclaimers now on this and other radio stations now. You'll hear, in the middle of a commercial break somewhere, there are certain, it'll be something to the effect of certain things recorded are, assisted by artificial intelligence, blah, 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 blah. And it's very fast, like the end of a car commercial. But but those disclaimers are out there. So maybe that is kind of where it goes. Now, from a personal level with your family, obviously your husband has been arm in arm with you throughout all of this. How have you been able to keep your boys insulated as well as you have been able to?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because they're 11 and 7.
Yeah.
They, I communicated clearly with their school, just so they would know if there were headlines or anything that was coming out. My children, all my kids know is that somebody bullied mommy by taking her picture and making it look like she was somebody she wasn't. They don't understand the context of indecent or intimate work content.
Right.
So, and that was really important to me to figure out a way to communicate, to tell them what was happening, because they knew they could see that I was upset, and to explain to them what I was doing in the legislature in a way that still protected and preserved their innocence as children. And so that's what my husband and I have focused on, is look, just like it's not okay to bully somebody at school, it's not okay to bully somebody online. And mommy was bullied, and mommy's helping pass a law that will prevent other people from being bullied, including you and your friends.
Yeah.
And that's what they know, and that's the truth of it. That's the age-appropriate truth of the situation.
It's a shame they have to know anything, but it sounds like you've handled it really well, because you're the thing you need to be right now is a baseball mom, and which
it's the joy of my life.
Exactly. And I've seen all of that, and by not being on television every day, you've had more time with them, but you're also dipping your toe back into some other things weather-wise. We mentioned that Brian Barrett here, he has his own Rutherford Weather Enterprise that is hyper-focused on Rutherford County weather. You're doing things online as well. So kind of let folks know how Bree is bringing the sunshine to others continually on social media now.
I'm trying. I've done a very good job in the month of May. I've been kind of exploring it, and this is my little sort of basement studio.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bessie. These are my new co-hosts. The pod is Viv.
Yeah.
They're my favorites. And so I'm still creating weather content. My medium has changed. The kids know that I'm down in the basement and that I'm doing this. I think I'm still sort of honing in the focus. Middle Tennessee is such a big area, over 60 counties, and it's not feasible that I can do all 60 counties all the time. But I can do quite a bit, and I want to do it. I been a meteorologist for 20 years, and it's in my blood. Like when I hear thunder rumbling, when I know a storm is coming, I feel compelled to help. So my husband, you can't see, but behind me there are 3 monitors. It's like NASA down here. And so I'm going to just keep creating content, really hyper-focused on Sumner County, Wilson County, my neighboring counties. That period in March, April, where we had such terrible weather for like 4 days in a row, and all of it was in the middle of the night. I stay awake when there are storms. And it's like, if I'm awake and I can help other people, I'm going to do it. You mentioned baseball. One of the kids on the team, his name's Ryan. He's really sweet. He's terrified of tornadoes. He's terrified. And some of the nights after the games, he'd come up and he'd say, "Miss Bree, is there going to be a tornado tonight?" And I said, "No, buddy. No, you're going to be just fine." And like a week or so ago, there were storms, and I saw that Ryan was nervous when he left, and I texted his mom and I said, "Tell Ryan he can sleep easy. He's going to be just fine." And so I really believe, especially for Middle Tennessee, because we do get such wild, wicked weather, that every able-bodied meteorologist with a passion and an ability, if you can help. It's like call for a doctor on an airplane. Like, does anybody have medical advice? Like, then get up and help and serve where you can serve. So I am going to continue to do what I can on social media to have some fun there. I do like making some of the sillier things. It's a good creative outlet for me. And I just love the weather. So I'm going to keep doing it where I can, when I can, at the ballpark or at home.
There's enough of us out here who are weather nerds to some degree.
Yeah.
And obviously with this little device in my hand right here, I've got a whole tab here. In your opinion, for those, because everybody, especially every baseball mom, every baseball dad, whatever, has to have a couple of radar apps on their phone. What in your opinion, what are the best, and I'll preface this by saying free, what are the best free weather apps and radar apps that are on Bree Smith's phone right now?
Oh gosh, you're making me remember which ones are free.
My radar is a good one to start with.
My radar is a good one.
Radar Omega, have you tried that one?
Radar Omega is a good one. I like Barron Critical Radar.
Okay.
Barron Barron. Barron is a larger company that makes weather graphic software, but they've got a really good lightning alert that you can set a radius for that I think is helpful. It also kind of tells you if it thinks there's hail nearby. Like it'll tell you like potentially dangerous storm is on approach. I do like that one. I like Code Red. I'm in Sumner County, and so Code Red is a good one for residents here.
We have one in our county as well, and it amazes me. There were more people griping on social media that I was getting a call because there was a tornado watch. I don't need that. Come on, this is there to help save your life and your property. So yeah, but those kind of things are interesting. As we get close to the end here, is there anything cooking? Is there TV weather future for Bree? Any path that any news you want to break or anything like that today?
I don't have any breaking news. I'll say there's nothing. I was going to say you're going to see me, Bessie, and Viv if you're going to see anybody. So there's no exciting next thing that you're going to find me on other than right here at home. But I'm really enjoying this. So I hope that folks can. Working on getting on my own YouTube stream kind of up and coming so that when there is severe weather, you can see me on multiple applications as well. I've been focusing mostly on Facebook and really just seeing this battle around AI through.
I need to connect you with Brian here at the radio station because he's got.
I wrote his name down. I was like, yes, I need to talk to him.
Yeah, with Rutherford Weather, they have their own website, YouTube channel on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So when he goes live, he's live on all of these things. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. Well,
it's like the non-severe weather guys. I'm very inspired by what they do, and I think that they reach people on such a hyper-local level. And because everyone is on their phones, it's like we got to meet people where they are with good, solid, hyper-local information. Live, love your community, help them, and that's what I want to do.
So do you still have access to certain tools as far as forecasting and things like that the average bear doesn't have access to?
I think I do have a couple subscription stuff. If somebody wanted to download them, they can. There's a lot of really good weather information, but I've got the National Weather Service chat up over here, and so I'm still connected with the National Weather Service and TEMA and FEMA and everybody in between.
Well, Bree, thank you so much for spending some time today and telling your story. And hopefully, your efforts are going to help a lot of other people. And it really means a lot that you came on here and kind of bared your soul about some of that stuff. And wish you all the best. And we'll have to do this again sometime. This was fun.
This was a lot of fun. And then thank you. Thank you for the chance to be on. Thank you for the chance to tell the story. Because I think more people know about it, then, very much like I say with the weather. If you don't know that something's going on, you can't protect yourself if it becomes dangerous. So let's educate ourselves, and then let's make a plan and make it safer for everybody.
All right. Well, Bree's plan today, she told me in a text earlier, they've got plumbing issues in the house.
Oh my gosh.
The Wi-Fi is being up in arms in the neighborhood. So she's being the all-American mom today. So I'm going to let her go do all that. And again, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. You guys have a great day.
All right, thanks a lot. Bree Smith has joined us for the last hour. If you missed any of this, you'll want to go back and watch it again on our YouTube channel or on wgnsradio.com. wgnsradio.com. It's all there on the podcast section. Brian is coming up next, and it's all right here. Have a great day on the Big G, WGNS.